Our story begins with Gary Johnson, a quiet man who leads a simple, almost predictable life. He's a professor of psychology and philosophy, someone who spends his days lecturing students about living boldly, urging them to step out of their comfort zones and take risks. But ironically, Gary's own life couldn't be more ordinary. He drives a modest Honda Civic, lives alone in a small house, and his only companion is his cat. Everything about him screams safe and routine. That is, until fate pulls him into something far more dangerous and unexpected. Gary takes on a side job working with the New Orleans Police Department. Normally, the department's undercover sting operations are handled by a cop named Jasper, a guy who poses as a hitman to catch people trying to hire killers. But when Jasper gets suspended for police brutality, Gary is unexpectedly pushed into the role. At first, Gary's job seems simple enough. All he has to do is meet with people looking to have someone killed, pretend to be a hitman, record their confession and payment, and then let the police swoop in for the arrest. In the beginning, he's just the tech guy, setting up hidden cameras and microphones behind the scenes. But soon, Gary discovers something shocking. He's a natural at playing a killer. He dives deep into the psychology of each suspect, researching them beforehand and crafting a unique hitman persona for every encounter. One time he's cold and ruthless, the next he's slick and charming. Whatever fits the target's fantasy. His dedication pays off. He even manages to help catch a young boy who wanted to have his own mother killed. But just when Gary begins to enjoy this strange double life, something happens that changes everything. He's assigned to a new case involving a woman named Madison, a desperate, discontented wife who wants her abusive husband, Rye, dead. To meet her, Gary invents yet another persona, this time a confident, mysterious, and dangerously charming man named Ron. From the moment they meet, there's an undeniable spark between them. Madison isn't like his usual suspects. She's smart, funny, and emotionally complex, and instead of seeing her as just another client, Gary finds himself drawn to her in ways he never expected. In a completely unplanned move, Gary, or rather Ron, decides to break protocol. Instead of taking her money and setting her up for arrest, he tells her to keep it and use it to start over, to rebuild her life away from her abusive husband. This bold act of compassion infuriates his fellow officers, but Gary doesn't care. And as he continues to see Madison in secret, before long, the two begin a passionate, forbidden relationship. Gary continues living as Ron. He tries to keep some distance from her, pretending to be the cool, collected professional. He even teaches her how to handle a gun, instructing her, rather chillingly, to always aim straight for the heart. And everything comes crashing down one night when they unexpectedly run into Rye, Madison's abusive husband. The confrontation turns violent. Gary pulls a gun to protect her, forcing Rye to back off. But that single moment of chaos sets off a deadly chain reaction that Gary can no longer control. Furious and humiliated, Rye decides to get revenge. In a cruel twist of fate, he attempts to hire a hitman to kill Madison, and that case ends up right back on Gary's desk. When Rye meets with Ron, he immediately realizes the truth, that this supposed hitman is actually Madison's new lover. Enraged, Rye storms out, vowing to kill her himself. Gary panics and rushes to Madison's house to warn her, but Madison laughs it off, insisting Rye's all talk. Soon after, though, the unthinkable happens. Rye is found dead, shot directly in the heart with a gun identical to Madison's. Gary confronts her in shock. That's when Madison tearfully admits that she killed him. Overwhelmed, Gary finally reveals his own secret, that he's not really Ron, but Gary Johnson, a professor working with the police. Madison is devastated by the revelation and throws him out. Broken and terrified, Gary returns to the police. The investigation is heating up, and evidence against Madison is mounting fast. Then Jasper, the same suspended cop who originally ran the sting operations and now burns with jealousy over Gary's success, comes up with a wild idea. He suggests that Gary wear a wire and go back to Madison, pretending to interrogate her. Together, they'll secretly create a fake confession that makes her appear innocent. It's risky, but Gary agrees. In a twisted performance, the two pull it off perfectly. Madison follows Gary's cues, and the police are fooled. The case against her is closed. It seems like they've escaped the nightmare, but their troubles aren't over yet. Jasper, now consumed by greed and resentment, shows up at Madison's house. He threatens to expose everything unless they give him a cut of Rye's life life insurance money. Madison takes control. She quietly slips something into Jasper's drink. As he starts to lose consciousness, Gary helps her. They tie a plastic bag over his head and stage his death to look like a suicide. The irony is brutal. Gary has finally become the very kind of killer he used to fake being. Years pass. The story jumps forward, and we see Gary and Madison now living a peaceful life, married, with 2 children, smiling and seemingly happy. They got away with it all.